the experience of 14 years in sales and marketing in industrial automation. He is currently working in Indian ABB, and he is a segment manager for drives. He is a ISHRE member from years now, and he will be giving a beautiful presentation today on energy efficient VFDs. As we all know, how important or how crucial or how much energy HVAC consume in a commercial or residential or any project. So it becomes very necessary to save energy on part of HVAC. So Mr. Kamran has brought up a new technical talk or VFD presentation for us so that we can enjoy and we can save energy on the environment day. So I will hand over the screen to Mr. Kamran Mohammed and welcomes you. Mr. Gurgaon chapter welcomes you. Mr. Kamran, you can go ahead with sharing your screen. Thank you. Mr. Kamran, you have to unmute, I think.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhavyan. Good evening, everybody. I welcome you all on behalf of ISHRE. Today is a World Environment Day also. And our topic today and the product on which we would be discussing today is related to sustainability and conservation of energy, which ultimately leads to helping the environment. Now, during the last few weeks or a couple of months, we have gone through very severe times, and but I'm sure everyone must have realized that environment is very important for us for the long-term sustainability of the entire human race as such. Without proper environment, we cannot sustain. And we all must have understood that and we just need to give a chance to the environment, to the nature, and the nature will heal itself. Even if we don't actively work towards it, if we just give us a chance by restricting ourselves, restricting our activities, and the way we are exploiting nature, even if we restrict ourselves a little bit, the nature will heal itself. So I would request everyone in whatever way, whatever small way we can contribute and we can help in sustaining the nature, saving the environment. Let's pledge to do that. It could be like not honking or not keep running your vehicle or just planting a small sapling. It could be anything. Even a small contribution goes a long way. And today the technology and the product which you're talking about is on the same lines. It is basically, and especially for our HVAC industry, the primary reason why we use VFDs is for energy efficiency, to reduce energy. And at the onset, let me tell you, by using VFDs, we can save energy to almost, we can reduce the energy consumption by almost 50% or even more than that. So it has a commercial benefit also, it saves cost, plus it goes a long way in helping the nature and the environment. So let's move ahead. I hope my screen is visible to all. Today we will be covering the basic segmentation in the HVAC industry, the different application and segments which are there in HVAC, and then we would see the main what is a VFD and the things which should be considered while selecting a VFD. The main specification points in terms of the consultant specification, the technical specifications, as well as in terms of the usability and perfect fit to our requirement. And within that, we'll cover to a small extent EMC and Harmonix. These are very critical points which are now the talking terms everywhere, and these are posing very big problems. So this we will discuss a little bit in more detail. And then we'll see a new technology, which is the ultra low harmonic drives or the active front end technology. We'll discuss on that. And then we'll have a question and answer session. So starting with the HVAC segmentation and application, the first segment we can see is the industrial HVAC. This is basically the pharma or the industrial. majorly we can divide into comfort applications and industrial applications. And in the within the industrial, then there would be majorly pharma and then some process industries. After that, we have some mission critical segments like hospitals, data centers, airports. Although the requirement is the same in terms of the HVAC infrastructure, everything is the same, but here the in terms of the power quality, in terms of the precise control and harmonics, these few things are there which need some additional consideration, and we need to take care of these points. Hence, we call this as mission critical segments. We'll cover when we are covering EMC and harmonics. We will see why additional focus is required in these segments. After that, we have our regular commercial building segments. So all the comfort applications like malls, IT buildings, our office spaces, schools, convention centers, all these fall in this segment. And then there is another niche segment, which is the transportation. So here, although it is not a traditional HVAC, but again, especially if it's the tunnel ventilation or the underground railway network, the metros, here tunnel ventilation becomes very critical. And obviously, the HVAC industry, as an industry, we play a role over here in managing the entire network and the climate inside the tunnel. Now, moving ahead. Now, irrespective of these segments, the applications, in terms of the application typically in HVAC, it could be from the, if we talk about the VFD, then VFD can be used in general, uh, any application wherever there is a motor, a VFD can be used. Now, what does VFD do is, one, it helps in the starting stopping. It gives a traditional role of a traditional starter, as well as it controls the process. It helps in achieving the automation in terms of the precise speed which is required, and in turn save energy. So in other industries, torque control or speed control, process automation is critical, or that is the reason why it is required. However, in HVAC industry, energy efficiency is the primary reason why we go ahead for a VFD. So right from our chillers, it could be screw, it could be centrifugal chillers, to our pumping systems, AHU, then supply fan, return fan, HRW, cooling towers, all these places, VFD can be used, and it gives drastic reduction in the energy consumed. Now we'll see how it does that. This is a basic construction of a VFD. Like a VFD is called by many different names. It could be called as a VFD. It could be called an inverter, variable speed drive, variable frequency drive, VVF, variable voltage, variable frequency drive. So it is known by many names, but all these names imply only same thing, which we normally call as VFD. Basically, VFD converts the incoming AC signal into a DC signal. The regular supply what we have is sinusoidal 50 hertz frequency signal. So this signal, if you see, this is the basically block diagram of a VFD. VFD can be divided into three major parts. This is the input section. This is made up of a rectifier and diode bridge. Here, the incoming AC current is converted into DC current. Then this is the intermediate circuitry, where there are various capacitors and filters, where this the DC which we have got the converted DC is smoothed, and we get a straight line. Now this DC current is then fed to the third part, which is the inverter section. This is made up of IGBTs. Now these IGBTs have their own switching pattern. They have a very high switching frequency, and based on the requirement and the how it has been programmed, they switch, and then this DC current is converted into PWM output. So the output of a VFD is a pulse width modulated output. So actually, it is not a sinusoidal signal, it is not an analog signal, but it's a digital signal. However, this digital signal, all the modulation, because it's pulse width modulated, so the width of the pulse keeps varying, and it resembles a sine wave. So the output, although it is not a sine wave, but it resembles a sine wave, and then this output is fed to the motor. Now, basically, why do we convert it from AC to DC? Because once it is in DC, then we can switch it, we can chop it, we can basically play around with it and do the desired functions. So this is just about the basics about the VFD. Now, while selecting a VFD, what are the points which need to be taken care? Now, this is a very important slide, and this gives the gist of the overall selection. And this is suitable and useful. This will be useful for you whenever you are selecting a VFD. It could be for any application, it could be of any make, it could be any location. But you can have a very well good idea of what you are using or what is required. So first point is the voltage range and the kilowatt rating. So the most basic selection criteria is the kilowatt rating. Normally, you would provide the motor kilowatt or the HP rating, and accordingly, your supplier will select a VFD. But you need to take care of the supply voltage also. Now, VFDs are available in various supply voltage, 200 volt, 400 volt. So the thing which we should ensure over here is that it has a wide range of voltage available. So normally the VFDs which are available in the market, they cover a wide range, like for example, from 380 to 480 volt, and this should be the this is a suitable requirement, because at various places the supply voltage differs. Somewhere it could be 400 volt, 415 volt, 440 volt, 460 volt. So whatever the supply voltage, the selected VFD should be suitable for that supply voltage. So it shouldn't happen that if you are changing the location, or if you are dispatching in some other location, and if say 400 volt or 415 volt is not available, there only 440 or 460 is available, then the same VFD should be able to work properly in all the locations. Then the kilowatt rating, that's a very basic selection. Then the design and the shape of the VFD, basically the inputs, outputs, the location of the fan, how do we terminate the cables, the protection which is there, whether it's IP21 or IP55 protection. So those things, now this is determined based on where is it going to be installed. And one as a thumb rule, we can say, if it is going inside a panel, normally there's a VFD panel, always it is going inside the VFD, then a IP21 VFD is enough. However, in many places it is required that either there is a space constraint, or the client wants to install it for maybe, for example, in each HU room, where it is not feasible to have additional panel in each room, separate panel. So there we can go ahead with the IP55 VFD also, which can be directly mounted on the wall. It doesn't need any additional protection. If it is inside the room, it can be directly mounted on the wall without a panel. So if it's going inside the panel, then IP21 is enough. Or if it has to be directly mounted, then IP55 VFD should be selected. Then basically EMC filter and harmonic filter. So apart from the benefits of the VFD, there are certain problems also associated which we should need to take care. So for example, EMC. So EMC is one thing. This is a disturbance or a noise which is caused in the VFD, and we need to protect it. So there are some filters available. So we should ensure that this VFD has the inbuilt EMC filter. We'll see in a little bit more detail after this what is EMC and harmonics. So it should have the EMC filter as well as the basic harmonic filters inbuilt. Then detachable keypads. Now keypad is a very useful. This is basically the interface or the HMI, where we set all the parameters. We do the programming where all the data and the various parameters can be viewed. So one is it should be advanced display multi-line, so that multiple data can be visible at the same time. Plus it should be detachable. This is an important feature, because normally what happens, if the VFD is being mounted inside the panel, then there shouldn't be a need that every time you have to check any data or you have to do some changes in the VFD, then there shouldn't be a need to open the panel door every time. The VFD should be detachable. The display unit should be detachable from the body of the VFD and suitable to mount on the panel door, so that you can access all the functionality of the VFD from outside itself without opening the panel door. Plus, these if this it's an advanced display, then there are many additional features, like they have this. If it's a graphical display, then you can plot the graphs also. You can see the historical data, how much time it has worked, what is the energy which it has consumed, what is the saving which we have achieved, and we can plot a graph also. Plus, we can view what was the consumption pattern, what were the errors, if it had tripped anytime, if some errors were highlighted or some alarms were raised, then those things can be highlighted and viewed on the display unit. So that is one feature. Then BMS integration capability. Again, this is an important feature. Basically, this is the communication protocols. Uh, the VFD should have the basic communication protocols inbuilt so that it can communicate with the BMS system. So Modbus is the most common protocol which is used in the industry. And then apart from that, there are other protocols like BACnet, Metasys, and 2 also. So depending you on the BMS protocol which the BMS is using, the VFD should have those protocols inbuilt. Then PID controller. This is again important feature where you can achieve automation. We can set a parameter, set some level of output, and then VFD automatically monitors field devices. Input from field devices are fed to the VFD. It continuously monitors the actual process value and modulates the VFD. Not just the VFD, with using these PID controllers, we can control external devices also. For example, we can have a return air temperature feedback. Temperature sensor feedback from the return air duct can be given to the VFD. The VFD, and if we have set a certain temperature, then it will continuously monitor that. And if that temperature has been achieved, then it can control the external device, which is in this case a chill water valve. So it can, if the temperature is achieved, it will modulate the chill water valve and reduce the consumption of chilled water. So your chilled water flow also reduces. So one is you have achieved the desired level of comfort, the desired level of output, and second, it controls your external device, third party device, by which you can save further energy saving. So it reduces your chilled water consumption, and this will have a cascading effect, and it will create back pressure on the pump. If there is a VFD on the pump, it will detect that there is a high pressure, so it will reduce the pump flow, and cascading effect. It has effect up to the chiller also, so you can reduce the chiller output also. So that is how we can achieve automation as well as next level of energy saving. Then the choke is basically the harmonic filter based on the different IEEE 519 and other regulations which are there. We need to comply to that. Temperatures, ambient condition in terms of the temperature, like if it is 50 degrees, 40 degrees, whatever the temperature, it should be suitable for those ambient conditions. In terms of altitude also, like 1,000 meters is normally what the most of the VFDs are suitable. Plus it should have the additional coating. The boards which are there, those are if they have this additional coating, then it protects the inside circuit from the moisture and dust. Over a period of time, we have seen that dust and moisture accumulates on these boards. If you see in the internal of the VFD, it is basically made up of coated boards, or PCB. So these PCBs have very minute circuits, and so if it has additional coating, it could be different coating, 3C2, 3C3, different levels of coating based on the actual end user environment. So if it has these coated boards, then it protects the overall VFD from damage. Then some other additional features like kWh calculation, what is the kWh consumed, the energy savings achieved over a period of time, and then real-time clock. This is one important feature. Real-time clock basically it performs two basic functions. One is the scheduling function, wherein you can schedule your entire day or your entire week, entire month, or even your entire year along with the holidays. So it is a program you need not go and start or reduce the speed or shut down. It will automatically start in the morning, shut down in the evening. Plus, it will reduce the speed as per the time of the day. So this scheduling is one function, and second function is the time stamping of error. So in many places, it is required that if any error had occurred or if any alarm were raised, then it should be with proper time and date stamping. So this ensure real. If there is a real-time clock, then we can have a proper time and date stamping of all the errors, alarms, or if any VFD had tripped any time, then it will be date stamping. So this was about the selection criteria or major technical points which need to be taken care. Apart from this, there are many other technical specification points. However, these are the major selection criteria. Now, as I said, we will cover a little bit more detail about harmonics and EMC. So now EMC and harmonics are basically disturbances. These are electrical noise. These are unwanted signals. However, harmonics is different and EMC is different. Both are noise, both are disturbances, unwanted signals, but both are different. Harmonics is a low frequency signal. It is mostly restricted up to 3 kilohertz, and EMC is a high frequency signal. It is also known as radio frequency interference. The name itself suggests that it's a high frequency signal, and it is normally above 150 kilohertz. So harmonics and EMC, uh, both are unwanted signals, both are undesired, both create disturbances and problems, but both are different. So the mitigation technique also for both is different. First, we'll see EMC. What is EMC? Now, as you can see here, now for EMC, this basically there are two parts for this EMC. It is covered under the IEC code IC 61800-3. So it says that there are two parts. One is the immunity, and another is the emission. So this IC code, it says that the product on which this EMC standard is being applied, one is that it should be immune to EMC or RFI disturbance from surrounding equipments. So there are other equipments also in the system which generate these EMCs. So it should ensure that my product is not getting affected by the other EMC being generated by other devices. So basically it is immune. So immunity level is there. Then second is the emission. So and first it should be immune, and then it should also not emit RFI so that it affects other equipments. So the now in the emissions there are basically two types of emissions. One is the transmitted emission, and another is the radiated emission. Now this IC code covers both. The it should if it has this EMC filter, they should have EMC inbuilt EMC filter, and this EMC filter should restrict both radiated as well as conducted emission. Now we'll see what does the conducted emission is basically, which travels through the cables. Using the cables, it reaches your other devices and and then there's the radiated emission, which is radiated as the name suggests. It's a wireless emission in the environment surrounding places. So this is how it looks like. Now we'll see the different standard. This IC 61003. This is the norms for this. This IC code, this IC has divided basically two different kind of environment. First environment and second environment. So wherever we are applying this code or wherever these devices are there, first we have to check whether it is in the first environment or second environment. Sorry. So first environment is basically any network or any premises which is directly connected to a public low voltage network or directly connected to a public transformer. So most of our commercial and residential buildings, they fall under the first environment, and second environment is any premises which is not connected directly to a public low voltage network, but it has a intermediate transformer. So such a installation, it falls under second environment. So most of our industrial premises fall under the
Mr. Kamran, we cannot hear you. Mr. Kamran, are you there? Hello everyone, we're trying to reconnect. Just a minute. You can hold on for some seconds. He's trying to reconnect. I think there's some network issues. So
Am
you
I
can
audible?
always write. Yeah, Mohit, you're audible. You can go ahead. Mohit, can you listen me?
Sorry for the disturbance. Yeah,
Okay.
I guess we
Okay.
understood the first and the second environment.
Yeah, we can hear you, Kamran. You look. You need to share the screen once again, I believe. We have lost your screen as well. Uh,
Yeah. Now is it
Sorry
visible?
for the disturbance. Yeah, it's visible now. You can go ahead with the second environment, and then we can go ahead with the.
So we saw the first and second environment. First environment is basically any premises or building which is connected directly to a low voltage network. And second environment is any premises which has an intermediate transformer inbuilt and it is not directly connected to a public low voltage network. Now, within the first and second environment, the various category of EMC filters have been defined. So there are C1, C2, C3, and C4 category of EMC filters. C1 and C2 are recommended for the first environment, and for second environment, we have C3 and C4 category of EMC filters. Now, most of our applications, if it's a commercial or residential building, they mostly fall under the first environment. So within the first environment, C1 or C2. Now, for that, we need to understand that it depends on the end use application. Now, this is generic. This is not about VFD. We are talking about any electronic equipment. So, if C1 category, any product which is a plug and play device, which does not need a professional trained manpower to install, commission, and use, and which is a movable product. For such category of products, C1 category is recommended. So our all plug and play devices like our laptop chargers, connectors, mobile chargers, all these fall under the C1 category. Then for C2 category, we have any device which is not a movable product, which is immovable and which is intended to be installed, commissioned, and used by a trained person, and which is not a plug and play device. All such category they fall under C2 category. So if we are talking about VFD, then VFD, as per this standard, it falls under C2 category. Then even C3 and C4 category of filters are also suitable if it is in the second environment. So that was about the EMC. So EMC we have seen it's a high frequency noise or radio frequency noise, and it needs some filter to filter out. So the filters available are C1, C2, C3, and C4. And as per the code, the recommended category of EMC filter for a VFD, for a product like VFD, is C2 category. So this was about EMC. Then we'll go to harmonics. Now, what is harmonics? Normally, if you see, we have a the signal available, the power is pure sinusoidal sine wave, which is at 50 hertz. However, because of this harmonics, this signal, this sinusoidal waveform gets disturbed, and we get a distorted waveform. So that is the issue with harmonics. Now, what causes harmonics? So for harmonics, we need to understand there are basically two types of loads: linear load and non-linear load. Linear load is basically our basic electrical load, like our motors or the electric bulb which we had the earlier bulbs. Uh, those are the electrical load. Linear load. And non-linear load is mostly all the electronic load. Wherever some electronics is involved, wherever there is a starter, so that is a non-linear load. So our typical even these CFL bulbs, our UPS system, PLCs, TVs, these mobile chargers, our UPS system, Xerox machine, all these fall under the non-linear category. On all these equipment generate harmonics. So that is the reason we always recommend that harmonics should be calculated at PCC. and we should calculate the total harmonics being generated in the system, and accordingly design a mitigation technique. So now, what is the problem with harmonics? Basically, harmonics causes overheating. One more thing which we need to understand about harmonics is harmonics travels backwards. So it travels from the generating device towards the source, towards the power source. So for example, if we are talking about VFD, so from the VFD, if the VFD is generating the harmonics will travel backwards to the main feeder, and from there to the main transformer, and then to the grid also. And that is the reason the power supply companies or the regulatory authorities are now becoming very strict with respect to the harmonics and the power factor. So uh, one is that it travels backwards, and then it affects the your motor, the transformer, the cables, the intermediate equipments, everything. It causes overheating in these equipments. Now typically, if we talk about VFD, the harmonics generated is easily above 60 to 70%. Sorry, more than 70 to 80%. So for example, if VFD is rated for say 100 amperes, then if there is no protection, no mitigation technique applied on it, then it would be consuming normal 100 ampere of normal current plus additional 70 to 80% of harmonic current. So the total current running through the system now would be easily 160 or 170 amperes. Now, whereas my system has been designed, if it has been designed for 100 ampere, and if harmonics has not been taken into consideration, then obviously overheating will occur. Now my cables will get overheated, and over a period of time, it might even burn your installation, and short circuit might occur. And we have seen that many places we hear about fire, and the most common reason for fire is short circuit. So this could be one of the reasons. Then it causes disturbances in the other connected load, other equipments, the sensitive equipment, like for example, it could be a communication system, it could be measuring devices. It causes flickering and disturbance in the communication systems. And so if you remember, we talked about mission critical applications like airports and data centers. Here even slight change, it is because there are very sensitive equipments. The ATC control room, which has the communication system. The radars are very sensitive. Similarly, in hospitals, the MRI or CT machines, these are very sensitive. Even slight changes can have a fatal effect. Plus, the measuring it affects the measuring equipments, can give false readings. Circuit breakers can trip, fuses can blow. These are the effects of harmonics. So normally, whenever the system is being designed, these harmonics are taken care of. These are taken into consideration. So the system is over designed. The transformer is designed so that it can take care of this additional harmonic load. Plus the cable sizes are selected accordingly. Your switchgear is selected accordingly. So overall, this oversizing has to be done. So ultimately, which results in underutilization of the overall capacity, and it's a wastage. Uh, so if we can ensure that the harmonics will be within the restricted levels. Now the IEEE 519, the standard which governs harmonics, it calls for the most stringent requirement is 5%. So if we are sure that the harmonics would be 5%, and if we know about the mitigation techniques, and we have taken proper care at the designing stage itself, we can eliminate this all oversizing and underutilization problem. We can reduce the cost of the transformer, we can reduce the cost of the switchgear, the cables, and all the equipments. But this has to be planned properly during the designing stage itself. This is harmonics. Normally, if you see this black waveform, this is the fundamental current, which is the fifth harmonic. And normally for this harmonics, the harmful harmonics are the odd harmonics. The even harmonics cancel out each other. The odd harmonics, they add up and they cause disturbance. So if you see this blue signal, this blue waveform, this is the fifth harmonic. Then we have the pink one is the seventh harmonics. So if you see these harmonics, they add up, and the resultant waveform, although it should have been a pure sinusoidal wave like this, but because of this, the waveform has got distorted, and now the actual waveform looks like this. And because of this distortion, all these issues occur in the system. Now, as I said, IEEE 519 governs the harmonics, and it calls for the various levels depending on the ISC by IL ratio. So the most stringent requirement is for 5%. So we have to ensure. So and then it talks about this harmonics at PCC. PCC is the point of common coupling. So here we'll see what exactly is PCC. So as per this IEEE 500, it defines that wherever the premises or the end user, there is a handshake between the power supply company and the user, that point becomes a point of common coupling. Mostly it would be the secondary of the transformer. So that becomes the PCC. However, we can define PCCs, multiple PCCs further down the network also. So for example, there are multiple VFDs connected to a common feeder, and such there are such multiple feeders, then each feeder can become a PCC. So we can design the filter, or we can have some mitigation technique at these various levels. So depending on the size, depending on the overall harmonics and the mitigation level required, we can design the mitigation technique and the filter. Now we'll see what are the different mitigation techniques. Now the most common, simple and I know I'm talking about the VFD, the mitigation techniques for VFD. So the most common and easy way and cost-effective solution is having a choke. So most of the advanced VFDs, they come with inbuilt choke, or we call it inbuilt DCR also. So these chokes, they restrict the harmonics maximum 30%. So the 70-80% harmonics which was there, now it gets reduced to 30%. So almost reduced by 50%. So it comes down from 80% to approximately somewhere between 30 to 40% by using a choke. Now, if we have to go below 30%, if we have to achieve say 5% or 10% level of harmonics, then we need to have some additional devices, some additional filters. So there are various filters available in the market. There are basically two types of filters: passive filter and active filter. Passive filter is basically a equipment which has a fixed impedance value and is designed for a particular load condition. Then there are active filters. Active filter is basically, as the name suggests, it has an active component inbuilt. So it injects a reverse signal so that it cancels out the resultant harmonic. Now with these filters, we can achieve a harmonics of up to 5% or 10% as per the requirement. So there are passive filter, there are filters available like passive filters, 5% filter, 10% filter. Similarly, in the active filter, we have 5% or 10% filter. So those are available in the market. We can utilize that. Difference between passive and active filter is passive filter. If we are using a passive filter, then it needs to be used with each VFD. For each VFD, a passive filter needs to be installed. However, if we are using an active filter, then we can design one common active filter at PCC, which will take care of all the harmonics inside the system. So this is the major difference. Then there are certain disadvantages, like passive filter causes a deterioration of power quality. So the power factor drops drastically, and in many places you have to consider additional power factor correction devices also. Then passive filters mostly function at the full load value because they have a fixed impedance value and they are designed for a particular load condition, which is mostly the full load condition. So when the output reduces or the speed reduces, if it is a VFD application, then obviously the speed and the load will reduce. So at that time, the output is not as desired. Our active filter eliminates all these issues and it gives proper filtering even at partial loads. However, these devices are very bulky, very costly. They occupy a lot of space. Plus, they cause disturbances. We've seen the passive filter power factor issue is there. Plus, there is a voltage drop. These are installed in on the connector on the input side of the VFD. So there is a voltage drop and efficiency loss. So then a premium solution which is available is the ultra low harmonic drive or a active front end technology. So this 18 pulse, this is also is a technology which is available. However, it is not applicable to us. This technology is not used in HVAC system. This is only suitable for industrial applications where big drives are used. So all the drives have basically pulses. So if it's a 6 diode, as we had seen in the construction, There's a diode bridge. So we have a 6 pulse drive. The drive which we use in HVAC is always a 6 pulse drive. So there are 12 pulse, 18 pulse, 24 pulse drives available. However, this is not applicable to us. For us, it is a basic reactor, the DCR or the choke. Then we have passive or active filter, and then a premium solution, which is the ultra low harmonic or the active front end. With the active front end, we can achieve a harmonics of even below 5%. We can achieve a harmonics of approximately 3% also with a ultra low harmonic drive. So we'll see what are the advantages of this new technology, the active front end technology. Active front end technology, this basically is a drive. It consists of a basic drive. However, the input side, instead of a rectifier bridge, it has a IGBT bridge. So plus with a line filter. So this restricts the harmonics. This controls the harmonics, and we can bring down it to levels of 3%. So this basically, we can say that it combines a standard VFD plus a active filter, and it combines together. So there are a lot of advantages, like it saves space. It is very easy to use, install, and commission, because it's just one box with 3 wire in, 3 wire out. We no complex circuits is involved, no mechanical disturbances or no further losses are involved in this. So it's a very easy and very efficient solution, and with this we can achieve the highest level of harmonic mitigation, which is bringing down the harmonics to 3%. So this is possible with this ultra low harmonic drives. Then there are many other advantages also, which we'll see now. So this is a waveform which we get with a standard drive, regular drive, and here is the waveform of a active front end output. So if you can see, this is a pure sinusoidal wave, and here it's a very distorted waveform. Now we have seen the whatever the disadvantages we had seen of the passive filter, active filter, and other mitigation techniques. All those disadvantages are now taken care of in the ultra low harmonic drive or the active front end technology. So here there is no power factor issue. In fact, this improves the overall power factor. With active front end technology, we can achieve a power factor of unity, pure one. So this can in fact help to improve the overall power quality. So this helps in avoiding the your other costs like power factor correction devices. Your by using this, the all the advantages which were there, we can eliminate the, we can reduce the size of the transformer, we can reduce the cable sizes, we can reduce the sizes of the switch gear and other intermediate circuits which are there. So, and the overheating issue that is taken care of in this. Now, typically, if you see, we that is the when we receive the power, it is basically active and reactive power. So cos phi, which affects the power factor, basically. Here we see with this compensation, this active control, we can increase the active power, which is the actual useful power, and the reactive power, which is not a useful power, that is reduced, and we can achieve a higher cos phi by using this solution. So the penalty charges, the regulatory compliance, all those things are taken care. Now this in the above the first diagram, you see the various equipments which are required, like this is the overall system efficiency, which is at 98%. Then if the same level of harmonics, if we require, say for example 5%, then we'll use a 5% passive filter or an active filter. Then it has its own efficiency. We have considered the highest, which is the 98.5%, then the VFD efficiency and the motor efficiency. Now here, if we are using a active front end solution, then we can eliminate this filter, intermediate filter, which is there. So, and we can achieve a higher level of efficiency, plus we can save on the space, we can save on the overall power quality, and we can achieve higher savings in the long run. So this is the package efficiency. This we need to consider the overall system efficiency. So the system efficiency is higher with the active front end technology. Plus, there's a voltage boost functionality. This again is very important in places where large cable lengths are there. So many places, because of large cable length, there is a voltage drop. Plus, in some places, there's continuous fluctuation in voltage. So because of this active component being inbuilt, it can compensate for this voltage drop and it can boost the voltage. So although the input voltage might vary, but the output we can get full desired output voltage. For example, if there's a long voltage or long cable length or voltage fluctuation is there, so at the input of the VFD, if we are getting say 370 volts, so the output also would be approximately 370 volt. However, in case of a ultra low harmonic drive, even at 370 volt, we can get full output voltage of 400 volts. So this is possible with active front end technology. Then in terms of size, it saves a lot of space. We most of the time are working with in the real estate sector where space is cost. So if it helps in saving space, then that's direct saving of money. So normally these filters are very bulky, very heavy, and they occupy a lot of space. So with the ultra low harmonic drive, we can completely eliminate this additional filter cabinet. So the size reduces drastically. So this is an important feature. The footprint reduces drastically. And then the summary of the active front end technology. These are the various advantages. We have discussed all these points. So like the clean supply network in terms of the power factor, the efficient utilization, the power factor unity, space saving, voltage boost functionality, unity power factor. All these are the advantages of a ultra low harmonic drive or the active front end technology. So this is something new which is available, a new technology which is available in the market. Mostly the chiller manufacturers now they have now shifted to this active front end technology, and now even for smaller loads, people have started considering this, especially in the rural applications where even a slight harmonic is not desired in the system in the network. So there people are going with this technology. So that's it from my side. Thank you very much. Now we'll take questions if you have any.
Uh, it was a great session, Mr. Kamran, and we have been people are asking questions as well. So we'll take a few questions and then you can address them one by one. If we're not able to address few questions, then you can write us at ishre.gurugram@gmail.com. We'll try to get answers and we'll revert you as soon as possible. So, Mr. Kaman, I will forward you one of the or tell you one of the question which is by Mr.
Sure.
Sundar.
Yep.
So he says or he asks, VFD should have inbuilt EMC filter in drive selection. Do we have inbuilt category C1 EMC filter complying as per IEC 61800-3?
If we talk about the IEC 61800-3, then it talks about the environment. So as we had seen, it has defined the various levels. The C1, what are the equipments under C1 category? What are the equipments under C2 category? But yes, to answer your question, there are drives available in the market which have inbuilt C1 filter. They have drives available which have inbuilt C2 filter, C3 filter. So you can select. But yes, we should select a drive with an inbuilt EMC filter. That's a yes.
Okay, so I think this is
Hope I have
satisfying.
answered.
Yeah. There's another question by Mr. Sundar again. With a
Hmm.
choke for harmonic reduction in drive, total
Mhm.
current harmonic distortion is mitigated to how much percentage considering full load?
At full load, it would be somewhere between 30 to 40% with just a standard choke.
Can you repeat? Your voice is breaking. Can you please one more time repeat?
Okay, so with a standard choke, the harmonics at a full load would be somewhere between 30 to 40%.
Okay. Uh,
So if we
okay. So
have to go below that, then we need additional filters. So that we had seen with a standard choke, which is there inbuilt in the drive. These chokes come inbuilt in the drive. We should select the drive which has inbuilt choke. So we can bring down the harmonics from 70, 80 or 100% to 30 to 40%. If the specification requires lower harmonics below 30% also, then there is no option, but we have to go with either a passive filter or an active filter or an active front end technology.
Okay. So the next question is by Mr. Vishal Sachdev. He's asking is ultra low harmonic filter is used at load end or at PCC end?
Ultra low harmonic, the active front end technology, what we are talking, this is at the drive level. So the drive itself has this technology. So the drive at the drive level itself, the harmonics is restricted to somewhere 3 to 5%. So your system will not anyway get any additional harmonics. So we are restricting it at the source itself. So now, if now depends on your what is the purpose and why do we want to mitigate. If it is for the regulatory purpose, to comply with the power supply company or the regulatory authorities, then they will always talk about PCC. So if that is the case, then a cost-effective solution would be designing one active filter at PCC. However, if it's a critical application, like airport, data center, or hospitals, where we have to ensure that within the network also there is no harmonics, then we need to mitigate it at the drive level itself. So in that case, this active front end becomes more viable.
Okay. I hope Mishal is satisfied with your answer. And the next
Okay.
question is by Mr. Sundar again. He asked that is ULHD recommended at equipment level in applications like fan and pumps?
Irrespective of the application, it depends on the where it is installed. If it's a critical application, I mean not in terms of the application, it's a critical end use site. Like if it's a data center or a hospital or a airport communication room, then irrespective of the application, it could be fan, it could be pump, it could be cooling tower, chiller, anything, then it is recommended. If not, if it is not a critical, then we can make do with even 30% harmonics plus the specification requirement, compliance to specification, whatever it asks for.
Okay. Uh, Mr. Vishal again asked that can you give some cost analysis of ULHF versus passive filter or active filters?
Uh, um, it varies a lot depending on the sizing, the kilowatt rating, the ampere rating. However, to understand, say for example, if basic VFD is 100 rupees, then passive filter would be somewhere between 100 to 200 rupees. Active filter would be somewhere in the range of 400 to 500 rupees, and the ultra low harmonic drive would be somewhere in the range of 3 to 4 or 500 depending on the rating. So you cannot exactly say, but this is a mota comparison just for your understanding as a reference.
There's a question by Mr. Rajesh. He asked that in panels for this VFD, fan is required to take heat away.
For any VFD, sir, fan ventilation is required for any VFD, irrespective whether it's any make or whether it's ultra low harmonic or even a standard VFD. Ventilation is required.
Okay, yeah, of course. And Mr. Amitabh asked that how to save energy in chiller and cooling tower fan and pumps using VFD and what if VFD on 50 hertz? Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
uh, okay, for this, okay, I'll explain how does a VFD work basically. What happens is whenever we have designed any system, especially if we talk about the HVAC system, it is always designed considering the worst case condition. Okay, so we can very easily assume that the overall system is over designed for most of the time, and we have practically observed also that during the entire year, hardly for a few hours, the entire system is running at full load, and almost more than 90% of the time it is running at on an average somewhere between 70 to 80% loading. Okay, so now this 20 or 30% of capacity, over capacity, what we have, normal cases, what happens, the motor runs at full load. If it is the speed is not restricted and it keeps running, we either throttle it mechanically and we reduce the flow and we achieve the output. However, what VFD does is VFD actually reduces the speed. And VFD works on the law, something known as affinity law, where this law says that the relation between power and speed is of cube root. So if we reduce the speed, for example, if we are able to reduce the speed by say 10% for a pump or for a fan, then the consumption, energy consumption is reduced by almost 27%. So for example, if the most of the time if your load is running at 80%, so if you are reducing the speed by just 20% also, then we can achieve almost 50% of energy saving. So this is the kind of saving which we are looking by utilizing a VFD. Uh, and to answer your question, at a 50 hertz, basically it is about the speed. So 50 hertz is full speed, and what we have seen practically is most of the time, the typically the hertz at which it is running is somewhere at 30 or 40 hertz. I hope this answers your question, or if there's anything you can ask.
I think that was very well explained. And if you have any further doubt, you can always write us at isha.gurgram@gmail.com. We'll try to give you more details if required. We have plenty of questions coming up, but we'll because of the time constraint, or like we will not taking more questions now, and I will divert to Mr. Mohit Tripathi. He's a president elect of Ishre Gurugram chapter for vote of thanks. He's very uh, available at every platform like Ishre SHM and CII. He's IGBC AP, and he's serving Ishre Gurugram chapter for last 3 to 4 years. So I will Mohit, can you just give thanks to Mr. Kamran, who has taken a time for us and to give us beautiful presentation for Isha Gurugram
Sure,
chapter. Over
sure,
to you.
Bhavya, sure.
Yeah,
Am I audible properly?
yeah, you're
Yes, sir.
audible.
Yeah. So thank you, Kamran Si. Very, very well and a very informative presentation you just delivered, and it's really indeed pleasure to listen you. And you the technical topics you covered in a very simple way and very easy way to understand. So thank you so much. You very well taken care of all the things like BFD, harmonics, EMC, heating effects, oversizing, filters, ultra low harmonics, and also some other new technologies. So it was really pleasure to hear you, and it was really informative for me and all of the other participants and attendees. So thank you for your sparing some time with us and sharing knowledge with us. And I also like to thank all the participants who joined us and try to learn something with us. And definitely, Ishe Gurugram chapter continuously try to put some good topics and some good speakers in front of you. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And I would request if you have any queries, like if any kind of the questions which is not covered in the topic, you can just mail us. We will try to get the best answer. And if you want to know, add some more topics which is related to your field and we haven't covered so far in the webinar series by ISRE, so definitely we will talk, we will try to coordinate with some best speakers in the national or international level and arrange a webinar for you. So thank you all, and keep associated with the ISRE and ISRE Gurugram chapter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much for
Yeah.
organizing this. Yep.
Thank you, Mohit, and once again, thank you very much, Mr. Kamran, for sparing your time and giving us a beautiful presentation. I will also request all the joiners, if you are not the member of Ishre, please join Ishre. You can take benefits, which are a lot of benefits joining Ishre, and it will give a boost to your career, your knowledge and talent. And you can find various speakers like Mr. Kamran, who has given us time and the beautiful knowledge what you have gained from last 14-15 years. So it's very easy to get knowledge from them. You can also contact Mr. Kamran directly, or to contact Ishre Gurugram chapter for any such ideas you want us to give webinar on. We will be coming up, and we are available for your services. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for joining, and special thanks to Mr. Kamran. Once again, we'll be looking forward for more help from ABB and Mr. Kamran to help us going the chapter for taking chapter forward. Thank you everyone for joining once again.
Thank you.
Thank you. And also to add, this video is available on YouTube. We'll be getting this YouTube link in 2-3 days. So we'll upload the YouTube video on YouTube, so you can, if you have missed it or somehow you could not take get the answers, so you can see on YouTube as well. Thank you everyone.